This is Stephanie at High Tower Stitching with the end result of making the king size quilt with yo-yos, and I'm calling it the floating yo-yos. If you remember, this was the challenge that I took on. I knew that I could sew around yo-yos because I have done that a lot on 2 large quilts. And these yo-yos were already done, so that was really nice. And so to me, it was to work on something that you like, that you think there's a chance you can keep it going to the end. And then it was still a bit of a challenge. And from the other videos you saw that I found a stick and set that up so that I could mark my rows and things like that. And then the second thing is work when you are up. Like I'm a morning person. If you're a later in the day person, save your time till working then. And to get it scheduled, because I knew this was going to be a bigger project, I tried to say, try for 2 hours a day, several days a week. And so being the morning person, I'd turn on the music, sit down, and I'd start working and take a break in between working for a couple of hours. The third thing would be to have all your supplies organized and easy to move. So I had a little box top and I had everything on there, so as I moved the quilt, I could move that box top and all my thread and needles and things were in it. And the other one was number 4, have a Band-Aids or paper towel close by. I was sitting here working, and I've been working and working on this quilt for days and hours and hours. And you know, you get calluses on different parts of your fingers. Well, I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, I said, oh, wow, that hurt. It hit a part of my thumb. I said, well, that usually doesn't hit there. And I looked, and here was blood going down my thumb. And I'm going, oh, my gosh. Y'all, I just stood there and looked at it. But I was lucky I didn't get anything on the quilt. But I was just amazed because I hadn't done anything like that. And that was just with the needle. So the rest is going to be some little information things. You know, necessity is the mother of invention. Well, I decided that boredom is the mother of invention. So sewing 835 yo-yos, I have used 10 different needles, 10 different threads. I've sewn right-handed and left-handed. I've made knots, and I pre-knotted. I sewed sitting, I sewed standing, I sewed in silence. I sewed to music, I sewed to music, I sewed to my hubby talking. I thought up new projects, and I solved problems from other projects, and I realized that I had really accomplished a lot. And as I got to the end, I remembered the labels. That's so important on something that takes this long and is going to be an heirloom for a family. And so there was a label that went on the back, and this was really nice. The person told me, as the night gets darker, let your worries fade. Sleep peacefully, knowing you've done all you can do for today. And that's our back label of her saying. And then also went in and put the label with who did the yo-yos, who did the quilt, and where that happened. And to make it quilt, I have stars on those instead of ties. So before I put on the yo-yo, I put a star in every position. So there's 35 stars. And finally, these are just some fun numbers. They're just numbers. The final size is 100 by 96 inches. The weight, this was funny, was 10.6 pounds, so it would keep you warm. The yo-yos used approximately 834, which would be 15 yards of fabric. The quilt fabric used, I had 7 yards of 104 white quilt fabric. Approximate time, I just do this for fun and to keep up with what's there. And yesterday when I had it, I had approximately 100 hours. I had hit 100 hours. And the last thing I want to share with you is I sat in the chair and I had the parts of the lap in my the quilt in my lap. And all of a sudden I noticed this neat warmth that was coming from the quilt. I wasn't burning up or anything, and I had it, and it gave a kind of a warmth. And I just thought, this is what I wanted to make for this person, our floating yo-yo quilt. Thank you for watching. This is Stephanie. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and leave comments and hit like.